Okay. Second level. Hopefully in the future I can get sound effects. That'd be so cool. Maybe a little corny, but so cool. Okay, so what do we got again? We basically still got our student. Student. And now we've got our processes. What are the breakdown of our processes? Well, let's see. One of them was to check for prerequisites. So that would be a process. How do we number set process? 1.1. Ooh. Okay. Check prereq. Okay, so in this situation, the student does the enroll request. Now, as you remember earlier, hopefully remember, one of the databases we're going to need is student registration. And let's see, of course info was part of this one when we did it. It's pretty much a breakdown of our first level fragment into the more specific actions on this level. So right now we're at the given a student ID and course ID, the system first checks to see if the student has required prerequisites, part of the level. So one of the things it does is prereq, the REQ by the way. You might want to put it all out when you're actually doing it, fill in the whole data line because, well, this is supposed to be all official, so doing it dirty like this wouldn't really be good for an official document. Okay, so we send in the rec, and then we have our, which one was this? I believe that was course info. That makes sense, right? Yeah, I'm sure that makes sense. Okay, and for this part, what's in our course info thing again? Ah, yes, the requisites. So we're checking student registration for our prereqs. Sorry, give me a second here. So the prereqs that the course has for being enrolled in the course get sent in. Okay, so one possibility in this situation is that the system, if the student doesn't have the required requisites, system just informs them and stops. So then we get a no recs. Sad face. You're going no further than that. Okay, so we've got that. Now, an interesting part about these is now we're going to the next part of this in dissecting this pretty much. You can label these parts as well. I'm not as good at that part. Maybe I'll try after this. But we're going to just start with this part going down in the chain of what it does. So next, the system checks to see if there's actually room for the student in one section of the course. to 1.2. Notice the numbering system. And now we're checking to see if there's actually room. So I was going to put down availability, of course. Now for this, it's going to have to check the course's actual enrollment, so we're dealing with another database. I've actually figured out how to erase quicker in this program. Photoshop's a lot easier for that. Well, Photoshop elements, but nonetheless. Let's see. Is there room? No. Request for the data. Room. Question mark. If there is room, one possibility is that the student will be enrolled and informed. So how does that work? Well, I have to do a little crossing here, so do try to pay attention. For putting whether the student's actually enrolled, we go into the student's registration. And then it would inform the student that he's enrolled. And then, even on top of that, has to tell the course enrollment that there's another student in there, so that they don't try to give someone else that space, obviously, and this person's, crap out of luck. Okay, now there's a possibility that there is no room in this, that you can't get in. So then the next thing we did was we go to the waiting list. If there's no room, we check the waiting list. Down we go. One, 3. And we shall call this avail late, as in, is there anything available on the waiting list? These names are horrible and hideous. Please look at the included pictures to see more sensical names that were on the whiteboard, because it's a lot more intelligent that way. Okay, so first we need our waiting list again. Bring up our waiting list. And then, if you remember, we did a request to see if there was room. This is pretty much an expansion of first level fragment. Room. If there is room on the list, we put them on. Usually put in list, put on list would probably be a better title than on list. So, one option, and then if that all happened, we would actually inform him you're on the waiting list. Now another option is, if you remember, there's no room in the waiting list, there's no room in the course. No room at all. That's basically it. Now all these were created by referring to the CRUD diagram and looking, I should have actually probably kept it open for this. You might want to re-review this. I apologize for that. Pretty new to this. So you might want to re-review this because, as you can see from the diagram, there would be stuff like create of student registration and read a student registration. Is there any prerequisites, if you remember? There's also the possibility of updating. I believe that came down here. Student is updated. And then I should throw in a create. But yes, basically this was created by going through the CRUD diagram. We checked to see situations where it was referring that in the steps that it was a creation activity, which would mean basically we're writing to something, like say creating the enrollment, or possibly creating the person on the list. Now, the enrollment activity is probably a creation and an update, which is very likely, because not only is it, well, it's actually, no, this one would probably just be an update. Here I go, correcting myself. Such a noob at this. This would probably be an update. This might be an update and a create, I believe, according to what the document said. Because the name goes on the list, yes, student's ID number, and then it also does an update of how many spaces are currently available on the list. Yeah, the maximum amount of students allowed on there. So this is technically an update and a create. We haven't done any deletes yet. That was actually in the pay for course part of it. Because after they've actually done all of this, after they're actually officially enrolled, we still got to get them to pay. The school wants its money, obviously. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time for that one as well, so I'm just going to end it here for now. Feel free to try that one yourself, and there should also be pictures sent to you via email saying how that one was finished. So you could give it a try, and then compare the results to the picture of what's shown out on the board, see if you're successful. Great way to try to get prepared for tomorrow. That's all for now. Yeah. Doodles.